right, well, I've been running a pattern torch and I got all my burnouts cut out. We can take a look here what I got. You know, I got all my rings cut out and they're fitting good. Where the split is in those, I took 1/8 inch 5P plus stick rod and fusionated that together right there to make this a complete ring. The way I burned these, there might be some people say, oh, the way you did that, burned that out like that, you wasted a bunch of metal, that centerpiece that fell out. Why did you do it that way? You wasted a whole bunch of steel. Hey, cool your jets. Man, there's another part of this. I told you before, I also needed 4-inch caps. See, I had to burn 7 of these, just like I had to burn 7 of those. These 4-inch caps that I burned are burned out of the cores that fell out of those things. So the amount of metal that I wasted right there was just barely a McSlivinator, all right? So we didn't waste much. Now there was a burn hole, like a blowhole in these. So I took a Miller-Matic and fixed that up a little bit with that, no problem, nothing to it. And then the rest of these, we got a lot of these caps that are just caps. So next thing is going to be working on, you know, some of these caps. There's going to be 7 of these that get a slot cut in for a 3/8 by 1.5 flat bar to go in, and that would be the bar that locks the gate. So we're going to move on and see what we need to do to get that job done. Okay, so if we take a look right here at our picture, we see here where the padlock is inside of that 6-inch pipe right there. And what we've got right here is there's a bar that goes through that 4-inch pipe, through a hole in the top, through a hole in the bottom, through a hole in the cap of that 6-inch pipe, and there's a hole in it that allows you to put a padlock inside of that pipe where it's protected. We kind of get an idea what that's like if we look right here at this piece of scrap 4-inch pipe sitting on top of this 6-inch cap. The bar that I'm going to run down through there is going to be a 3/8 by 1.5 hot rolled bar. So there'll have to be a hole going through the pipe right here, going through the pipe in here, and this bar will go right down through. And we'll get to making that hole in a minute. But as of right now, we want to make the holes in our cap. Now what I got right here is a 1-inch by 2-inch rectangular tubing with a 1/8 inch wall thickness. That means the inside diameter of this tubing right here is 3/4 of an inch by 1 3/4 of an inch. So that would make a really good sized tubing for me to take my torch, use this as a jig, and just follow around right here and make me a little rectangular hole in my caps, right in the center of it. Another thing I did that you could see here that'll probably help a little bit is I took a small drill bit and drilled a hole in the center of the plates. With that hole in the center of the plates, it'll be a little quicker making this cut because I don't have to heat up and blow through it. Let's see how this works. So that jig that I made to burn those rectangular holes in those caps for our gate lock bar to go through worked out really well. Next step's going to be to figure out how we're going to burn the holes in that 4-inch pipe for the lock bar to go through. And I got a piece of 4-inch pipe, and I've got a piece of pipe that sleeves over top of it, and I fabricated this assembly right here. So what it's got Obviously the pipe, you can see here, has a seam in it that takes up a little bit of the space. And then I've also added these 1/8 inch tabs here and here that makes it fit on this makes it fit on the 4-inch pipe really nice. You can see that straight across from one another I've got this 1x2 rectangular tubing, 1/8 inch wall. This is the same tubing we used for our jig that I followed the torch around to put the holes in the cap. Now my distance from the center right here to right here sets the depth from the end of the pipe back that I want my hole. So let's burn a couple holes for this lock bar in a scrap piece of 4-inch pipe and see how it works out. Got a piece of pipe here in the welding positioner. I'll go flush with the end here. Once I clamp that, don't want to move that until I've burned both holes. Going to look at our picture again to see about another piece that we need to make here. That piece right there that's sitting on top, it's got that lock bar welded to it underneath there, and that lock bar, you know, that's going all the way down through the 4-inch pipe and through the cap in the 6-inch. So one of the things I was realizing about that is that if I had that rectangular hole for the lock bar cut into that piece and welded around the top, that would make it so that that piece could set down flush on the pipe. If I took my lock bar and I pushed it up to that piece and welded around it, my weld bead on the bottom of that piece could possibly hold that piece up off of the pipe. That would probably be okay, but it's undesirable. I'd like for it to set down flat. And one of the things about a gate and a latch like this, we're not trying to make it easy to get into. I don't want a handle. It's not something we want to make it so there's a handle there that a guy could chain their truck to and rip it off. We don't want to make it that easy to get into. That's the purpose of the gate in the first place. So one of the things that I've thought of since I was using some scrap stuff and doing some test burns about the rectangular hole that I need to put in the 4-inch pipe, I realized that with these scrap pieces I got, I could make my lock bar top piece out of them just by taking this and, you know, cutting it like that, because it's pretty close to the right shape. So what I would have to do, I could saw this with the chop saw this way, but I'd have to cut it this way, and it's a lot more efficient to go ahead and cut it now. You know, if I could split this pipe right here in half, that'll give me 4 of these parts out of this one piece. So to figure out where we're going to cut that, you know, if I got my lock bar right here and I slid it through these holes, if this bar was pretty much level with the table, I'd want to cut that pipe right at the top. Well, I put the bar up here like this, and I measured equally on both sides, and it was the distance when it's good is about 2 1/8 from the table. So in my ever quest to make jigs and make stuff easy, right there I've got 2. Right here I've got 1/8. So if that's sitting on there, then I'm holding my holes pretty much level. So if I take a clamp, let's clamp that down. Top dead center of that thing's pretty much where I want to cut it right now. And I've got it held in place the way I need it. Now, you'll probably see me use oxyacetylene quite a lot. And there's a lot of reasons why I prefer oxyacetylene to plasma. This is a good use for plasma. So I'm going to split these with a plasma cutter, and I'll use a piece of angle iron as a guide. I'm just going to guess on the top dead center. I don't think it's a critical enough application that I need to put any further marks on it. I've done my positioning and everything pretty much by my use of jigs. You know, my math teachers in school always told me I spent more time trying to figure out a shortcut to the problem than I did actually just working out the problem the long way. Whatever. Those first pipes that we had cut before, they have a square cut for what they're for. They're just cut off square. These inner sleeve pipes that I'm getting ready to cut, they're going to be beveled. I'm going to bevel one end on a 30-degree angle. The other end will be beveled the other direction, which doesn't really matter for what it's for. The first bevel on the one end cut like this, that is a bevel that I need for my fabrication and I'm going to use. So we can get back into that later. I just mostly right now want to show that I do have the beveling machine set with the torch on an angle to make that beveled cut. I'm going to make a series of marks on this pipe, and we're going to be using the entire joint of pipe. So I've taken these parts out of the tumbler. They look great, all cleaned up, pretty much slag free. Got a little problem. Where this is supposed to fit on the 4-inch pipe, you can see it doesn't quite fit. Now, don't freak out, all right? It just needs a precise adjustment. Now, for this sort of adjustment, E-Swing makes a variety of these precision adjustment tools. Right here we have the 3-pound. I call her Lumpy. And then, of course, the blacksmith style E-Swing we have, you know, the 4-pound variety. I think we'll go with the 4-pound. Oh yeah, and earplugs. You're going to want to plug the holes in your head for this. Now right here I've set up a simulation how this latch bar is going to go down through there. There's our cap, and I got it at the height I wanted, and I put me a mark right there. So that mark would work out, be a good place to cut it off. Plenty of room to put our padlock through that hole I drilled. Next thing, once I know the length of this, come over here to the chop saw, set that up with a stop right here. Be able to chop all them off exactly the same length.